Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome wherever you may be, whatever time you're listening. We are celebrating the launch of our new program, the 90-day website mastery. And this is our podcast, the webinar series. We wanted to find a way to continue to share more advice and insights about making your website work harder for you and for you to feel proud of your website again. I'm with Pascal Fintoni today. We are live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. And you may be listening to us on the podcast. How are you, Pascal?
I'm very well, and I'm thinking this is also a perfect excuse for you and I to catch up regularly. So we have lots of chats in the green room about all things website, SEO, social media, and events and that kind of things. And then we have those regular catch up with all of you to really find ways to make those small adjustments that can make a big difference to your website results.
Absolutely. And so much so, to make it a bit topical, we were just talking about threads and being threaders and, the Twitter battle. And, that's literally just happened. I'm waiting to see I think there's going to be a brawl in the street between Elon and Zuckerberg at some point. It's crazy. Anyway, we have 4 segments in each episode. So today we have You Ask, We Answer. We've got website stories. We have the website engine room, and we have the website call to action. All of this is designed to give you the tools, the tricks, the information on how to create a website that you ultimately feel proud of. Because one of the things that we realized over many, many years is that when someone asks for your website address, what's your website address? I'll go and have a look. You have that sudden pang inside your stomach that's like, oh no, don't look, it's not up to date, I'm not very proud of it. And what we've realized is so many marketing directors, business owners, head of marketing are just not proud of their website. And so it's our mission to help create a place where you become proud of your website. So without further ado, I'm going to let Pascal carry on, and we're going to start with You Ask, We Answer.
So what we do here is we select a question that we've received either via email or during face-to-face conversations or even that we researched online. And this time, Jonny, this is something that was asked of me. And what happened was I was doing a one-to-one coaching with a startup. We're talking about branding. We're talking about, the need to have an online presence and one that you can be proud of, to take your point earlier. And the question was very simple. Oh, by the way, Pascal, I've seen adverts used on Instagram for AI websites that can be built in minutes, but it feels, not likely. So how long does it take really to build a website, particularly when you have something, a key message that you want to get across? I wanted to kind of get your views on that, Jonny, because I've seen the adverts, you've seen the demos, I've tested those AI solutions. And I think for me, there's something a bit misleading about this idea that the website would be finished in minutes. I mean, you may have access to templates and layouts and a few of the things which you can do already on platform we've mentioned, but actually the journey from the spark of an idea to an online presence that you can be proud of is not in minutes, it's in days and weeks. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly no shortage of adverts, of stories, of reels, of videos, of websites saying that chat AI solves your problem, and within minutes you have solutions, whatever those solutions may be. And in this case, we're talking about websites in 10 minutes. I'm not sure it's a reality. We've had a good play with these. In fact, we've had downloaded some of the apps that are out there trying to be sold. And yes, of course, you can create something, but is it fit for purpose? Well, unless it's a school project, then then I'm not overly sure it is, and it really just loses the whole ethos of what a good website should be. There's certainly room for AI. I mean, I think both of us love it in terms of giving us starting points, giving us structures, solving problems. But in terms of actually just taking over and doing the whole thing, no.
No, so for me, back to the question, well, how long does it take? And my answer would be take as long as you can within the parameters of your business strategies and your sales and marketing goals, because there is a real pleasure in developing the website at the right pace. But if you just look at preparation, so the alleged claim that this website can be built in minutes, but just if you take into consideration the need to gather the copy, to gather the photography, the video assets, to start to craft the biographies and the product or service statements, you've got all that preparation already. The minutes are gone, and back to that point. So preparation is one that my customers will know I'm very, very strict on, because this is where you can sometimes come up with all the best solutions before you start to look at what can do. But to your point then, there is definitely room for an AI powered solution to come up with examples or suggestions or ideas about the future layout. And then maybe you go onto a different platform altogether, which is not AI powered, but you've kind of gone some way down the line to come up with a short list of your favorite layouts for the homepage, for the about us section, for the contact us, and so on.
Yeah, I see it as a great way to get past writer's block. Not that it's necessarily writing for a website at all, but in terms of just, getting past the point of where do I start, it can certainly help you generate ideas. It can certainly give you a bit of a structure as well. And there might be bits that it can be quite good at. But in terms of, I think, the secret to being proud of your website and really wanting to give your website address to people is owning it. And unless you've owned it yourself and really invested that time and energy into it, then you're never going to feel proud of it. And ultimately we've got to remember that this is the door to our business. This is everything about our business, and it should be the thing that sort of sets the tone, the personality, but also has functionality to solve business processes, to make sure that we're capturing data in the best way, marketing in the best way, and making sure that we're engaging with whoever that may come to the website, especially if they're our target audience. And these things will get lost and missed, and you might end up with something that's very quick and might look all right, but does it really get across the right message or really engage? Not convinced.
Yeah, and what I found when we did the test with those AI solutions, all with some very strange and wonderful names and kind of spelling, there is so much time spent in having to correct and remedy what doesn't look right or doesn't sound right, that once again the claim that you could be done in minutes is gone. And this is essentially our warning to everyone. I think you could be intrigued by the solution, but you shouldn't be fooled by the claims. It's a bit
It's that,
like, forgive me, Jonny, if you want to cook a meal and it says it takes 30 minutes to cook it, well, yeah, that's the cooking bit in the oven, but all the prep before, that was much longer.
yeah, and you have to remember there's no such thing as a free lunch, and this claim of you can start making 10 grand a month by clicking this one button that's going to create a Shopify website, pick the right products for you, and put a shipment process in place. With one click, and with one click you're going to be earning 10 grand a month. There's no such thing as a free lunch. It's not as simple as that. But I'll tell you what. The advert really does make you believe that all you need to do is click that button, and
Yes.
I think we've got a bit of a gripe about that.
Certainly. So, how long does it take really to build a website? In the context of my client and the one-to-one coaching, the units were weeks, not minutes, because of all the preparation, the deliberation, and the quality of thinking to get through it. So, thanks for your reaction on that. I'm going to ask for more reaction on your part with our next segment, the website stories. Now, this is one of my favorite segments. I choose and surprise Jonny with an article, a podcast, a video, or on this occasion, an infographic, and just get your reaction and reflection on what it means to be a website manager in today's economy. So for this session, I've chosen an infographic from Giraffe Social Media. Fantastic name. And this was reviewed actually by Social Media Today, Mark Walker Ford. And the title is as follows: 22 types of content you should create to reach your audience. And I know that the inference here is social media, but we're talking about content that, of course, will end up on your website as curation as well as creation. Now, 22 feels like a lot, but actually what they've done very cleverly, the team at Giraffe Social Media, is split the content type into their customer journey. They have the awareness stage, the consideration stage, decision stage, and retention stage. And something that I like to consider, because depending on the mindset and where they are in their decision making process, you have different ways to engage your audience. So all 22 then are split across, those different stages. So the awareness stage, which could be the awareness of having a problem that needs a solution, as well as becoming aware of your existence. We have, of course, the examples like authored blog post, infographics, podcast, ebooks, checklists, and white papers. For the consideration stage, which is all around shortlisting your organization against my needs, of course, case studies, demo videos, quizzes, which I think are more like self-assessment type platforms, product webinars, white papers, decision, choosing you as part of the perfect solution. Of course, free trials, live demos, consultations, coupons for trial before you buy, testimonials, and very importantly, comparison sheets. And then we have the retention, this kind of after-sales care to turn you into a champion or a regular customer. We've got ongoing support, online chats, coupons, loyalty rewards, and email follow-ups. So for me, what I liked about it was twofold. Infographics needs to be used more often. Superb in a kind of a graphical element of your website experience. But this idea of, back to what we discussed a moment ago, this website, when you think about it carefully, there is a bit of a journey, there's a whole experience, and depending where your customers is in a decision-making process, different types of content. What did you make of the split in terms of different stages and allocating different types of content?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm doing a lot of meta advertising at the moment, and and there's a huge alignment with everything you've just said in terms of understanding that funnel, in terms of where people are on the buyer journey. And so many businesses expect that they can, for example, just put an advert on Meta, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Threads is, when will advertising on Threads start? I can't imagine it'll be long. And they expect that you can just put the advert up and instantly that's going to sort of, sell a product or sell a service. And it's not like that. You have to have these different stages, and the stages you've identified today, the awareness stage, then the consideration, then the decision, and then the retention. It make perfect sense that you do need to take people through that journey, and people need to get to know you. They need to get to like and trust. They need to perhaps you need to educate them. Perhaps you need to help them get across the line. But more importantly, you then need to retain them. And so it's how you create content around that journey to bring them back, to look at the lifetime value. That's often overlooked as well. It's looked at, a lot of the time it's like, how much can we get out of this today? But actually, we're not considering the lifetime value of these consumers or clients or customers. And so, really important. And I like the simple set out of it.
For me, I mean, I like the fact that you've taken on board this retention stage, because very often the websites, content, and then the whole kind of family of content marketing effort is often around lead generation and lead conversion, but then there isn't this kind of ongoing relationship with the customer. And I've seen so many wonderful examples where someone says, so I know you are now one of our customers, but let us show you ways to get more value from what you've purchased. And this whole retention stage because I think this is where this infographic understandably gives a top level bit of information, but it's almost understating the fact that this retention stage is so important, and the website can play a part of that. I've seen very good example where people are given literally like a VIP area of the website with logins to go into even more kind of content that can make a difference. But this idea of, now that you are on board, let us show you ways to get more value, and more importantly, avoid the situation where I'm thinking particularly with around software solutions, where people become lapsed users because somehow life and work, took them, into a tangent, and then they have to reconsider once more whether they're going to renew the kind of annual fee, and they kind of go, "Well, we didn't really use the service that much, did we?" And it was only because that retention stage was maybe not given as much importance as the others.
You've just made me think of an example, actually. I'm not sure how relatable this will be for everyone, but I imagine that there will be some of you. I've got 5 children, and I'm a governor at a school. I've been a governor for many years. I ended up putting my hand up to sit on a PTA, raising money for the children in school. And there's a website called Parent Kind. They're a charity for PTAs, and they have, whilst you were talking just then, they have the perfect example, I think, of that retention, because every problem that you have as a PTA, Parent Kind of got the answer in a really, really good way. But it's all gated content. So you either Google or you go on their website and use the search. Either way, you end up at the Parent Kind website. They've got really good SEO. And you get to a page that has got, from what you perceive to be, the perfect answer. But to get to it, you've of course got to sign in and pay a membership fee, and that's all the time. But they give enough, and when you do sign in, the answers are fantastic. So it's just one small example, but I see it as in that retention stage of where the website plays a huge part in retaining the long-term, lifetime value of that customer. There we
Yeah,
go.
absolutely. And listening to you and almost playing in my head a situation where I would be, in a room with amazing business owners. This is a perfect little exercise for anyone to do. So literally, going to have a look. We're going to put a hyperlink in the show notes. Going to have a look at the article and the infographic, and then create a checklist across the different stages and ask yourself the question. I don't think you need to do all 22. I don't think that's what is required of you from Giraffe Social Media, but saying, well, give yourself a score out of 5 or 10 and say, how are we doing? And is there a stage or two that is being perhaps a little neglected only because of habits and time and planning? And can we redress the balance? But more importantly, if we're going to put all that effort into the awareness stage, which is usually what happens historically, can we create balance with retention stage and have those two as the pillars of your customer journey? We should be recording this. This was pretty good, actually. And it happens that we are. So, on the subject of doing things and asking you to do more with your website, can we move on to the next segment, the website engine room? So this is where we ask you to try a little something different, usually an app, a software solution, or a kit that can make life easier as a website manager and content creator. So, Jonny, what have you chosen for today's session?
So SEO is my background. I was even having yet again another conversation today about how SEO is dead. I mean, because of you've got the likes of ChatGPT that can literally write a blog in 3 minutes and get you at the top of Google for it. SEO is not dead. It still has a huge it's still a huge channel. There's still a huge opportunity. It's not just about written content. Anyway, off my SEO soapbox for a moment, it's an SEO tool. SEOquake.com have an extension that you can put onto Firefox or onto Chrome. And what it does is, whilst you're Googling, it adds another layer of data onto your Google screen against every single website that appears on the search results. And it gives you lots of different metrics around their domain authority, around how competitive they are, all sorts of different metrics around those domains, so that you can really start understanding about how difficult it might be to get above some of these, or understand some of their strategy in terms of whether they've got a lot of links to their website. SEOquake.com. It's an extension that you can put onto Chrome or to Firefox and probably other browsers. And my life as an SEO without it would be way more difficult. And it's free of charge.
No, free of charge. That's impressive. Can I just go back to what you said? I mean, people are so dramatic. SEO is dead. Or we had, only 2 days ago, Threads, Twitter killer. Can we just not be so aggressive, people, and just calm down a little bit? It's illogical that anything should be dead in the business of engaging with customers, and search engine optimization, to use this full term. So long as people will use a search engine to find information, to check and verify that whatever you're claiming is indeed correct, the practice of matching someone's need for information back to the stages to what you create will always exist. So I just don't understand why people get so dramatic about it. But for me today, it's an AI-powered solution. So just to prove to our viewers and listeners that we're not upset with AI solutions. So this is called Post Genius. And as the name may indicate, this is all to do with being given some variation on maybe your social media post. If you run out of ideas, if it's been a long week or a long day. But I want people to also understand that you and I tend to give advice on using things with a bit more lateral thinking. So I had the test with Post Genius, and frankly, the amount of time you spend having to correct what is pretty mundane social media post is not worth your while for now. It will improve, of course. But if you use a bit of lateral thinking, I'm thinking, I had a conversation, and regularly I tell my customers, you need more testimonials on your website. You need more case studies on your website. People say, well, yes, but I keep asking customers and they don't do it. I say, no, because the practice is as follows. Let's say you want to ask Jonny for a testimonial. The practice typically is to send Jonny 2 or 3 options and examples and ask him to choose one. That's how you get testimonials promptly. And granted, it must be, and it is very hard to come up with 3 different versions of how amazing your service is. So what you can do with Post Genius is can reverse the logic and say, write a testimonial as it comes to you, and then ask Post Genius to give you different versions. Copy and paste that into the your email and send that to say, hey, I'm about to update my website. I know that we had a great project together. I wanted to kind of, give you a shout out. Which one of those versions do you favor, or pick one and edit for yourself? And you find that you're going to get a much swifter response. So here's an example of how AI can make your life a little easier.
I like it. Thank you for sharing that, Pascal.
Not at all. Well, listen, in the business of doing more and taking, simple actions, so we move on with the last segment, the website call to action. Right, Jonny. So be kind. We're all very, very busy, but what is the one change or the one adjustment you'd like us to make to our website to improve its performance?
Go and pay for a new photo shoot. Really simple. Go and instruct a photographer to get new pictures of your team, of the premises, of the products, of the services, whatever it might be. It will inject a huge amount of life in and up to dateness, if that's a word, I'm not sure it is, into all of your marketing, not just your website, into your social media, into everything. And I just think that, again, working with some business owners, they just don't see photography as something that's important, and they don't, and they see it as an expense that's not needed, or they want to just do pictures on an iPhone or whatever else. And there's a time and a place for that. And I wish I was on commission for photographers, but that's not the case. And you don't even need to spend a lot. But having been there myself many times and having worked with business owners, go out there. If you haven't had a photo shoot in the last 12 months, go and get another one. Go and get up-to-date photos, and it will have a ripple effect that you'll just look at afterwards and say, God, we should have done that sooner.
No, you're right. And this is fascinating because ultimately a website is a multimedia experience. And you have to marry the words, the static images, moving images, 2D, 3D graphics, and all those things, so that people really are left with the impression that you care not just deeply about the business, but looking after them. And for me, the website is your kind of before sales customer experience, if I may use that long phrase. This idea of the amount of details, attention to details on the website is the mirroring of your approach to customer service. And people will make very blunt and unfair judgment calls on, ooh, this website leaves me a little uncertain. Therefore, I would assume that the customer experience and service is also that uneven. We need to be very, very careful. Mine is parallel to yours. I might even borrow what you just said, which is this idea of, at the time of recording, this episode, we've just gone past the half of the year, which is just absolutely maddening. Where has the last 6 months gone? So, time for a media review on your completed projects to have a new set of case studies and testimonials. And we then go back to, the app I mentioned a moment ago. So look back in the order book, talk to your teams, talk to your customers, make a list of everything you've completed and start to compile the stories to be produced maybe over the coming days and weeks. And therefore, you need some photography. You may need some animations, some videos, and so on. But it is really important to really reset and refresh your case studies. And there's nothing like that medium kind of milestone to go back and ask all your lovely customers to show a few words and use the post genius to help you out as well.
It is that important thing of, perhaps having checklists and processes to make sure that you do consider these things, because ultimately, if you don't have that in place, you end up a year later, 2 years later, and that's when you start not feeling proud because everything's got out of date. There's not been as much energy into things. And so it's about just having a simple process in place. Let's reflect on yet another great episode. We've talked about AI. We've talked about, whether, do we actually like some of the marketing that's being marketed to marketeers? How many times can I say the word marketing? And we're not sure about that. We've made you think about the different steps in terms of content and the user journey, and more so really got you to consider the retention and really holding on to current or existing customers. We've shared some tools, which was your highlight in the tools we've shared. I really like the testimonial creation, to be fair. Anything jumped out of the things that we've discussed there?
I mean, for me, it was this idea of having more conversation around the stages as opposed to just a website as a whole. I think that would make life a lot easier for all concerned, particularly if the job of looking after the website is a job share. It's part-time and not full-time. But I was absolutely amazed that SEO Quake, with everything that it offers, was a free plugin. So there's no more excuse now not to inform yourself about the behavior of your customers and align your content and particularly the language you use accordingly.
We reminded you to refresh your case studies, refresh your testimonials, and refresh your pictures as well. Another great episode, Pascal. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. It's always a pleasure and a challenge for you and I, because we are typically long-form content creators, and to stick to the kind of half-hour, deadline is interesting.
But we do it unbelievably well. And on that note, that's it for today. This was episode 9 of our new podcast series, the audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, please visit 90daymarketingmastery.com and you'll be able to book your discovery call with either myself or Pascal. We'll be back with another podcast episode. In the meantime, feel free to send your questions and share your preferred apps and links to your website once you've made the changes we spoke about, because we'd love to give you a shout out. But it's bye now from everyone, and we'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage whilst you go through your notes and actions. See you all soon. Take care.